Hey, it's Sergeant Stavros here from How Good Is This, the Thug Mills podcast. You know and love Thug Mills from our short film, Thuggies Do China, so why don't you check out the pod? Now, I won't try and convince you by pretending to be the Green Day manager. I've actually done something useful and prepared a compilation of our best skits. But I won't disrespect the 30-second time limit either, so I have to play them all at once.
Chat to the job, sitting in the sun.
No time for me.
You're an artist.
Right now, so here you go. And now they Thug Mills.
Hey, welcome back to the Andy-Social Podcast, and before we kick into this week's episode, come and join me on Patreon, patreon.com/Andy Dowling, the best way to support this podcast, and supports us for only $1 a month. Dirt cheap, set and forget it, and there are additional tiers if you want access to a bunch of free shit. A quick little thanks to the entire freaking list over at Patreon. Let's do it. Thank you very much to Ryan from Adelaide, Andrew from Perth, McGee from Sydney, Ash from Deniliquin, Dan from Dapto, Riley from Sydney, the Toyota guys from Melbourne, Lords of the Trident from Madison, Wisconsin, Sean from Oregon in the US, Johnny from South Australia, Zach from Adelaide, Rod from Rayleigh in North Carolina, Matt from Adelaide, Saul from Oxford in the UK, Patrick from Canberra, Liam from Brisbane, Tom from Melbourne, Chris from Sydney, Frank from Untergruppenbach in Germany, Lewis from Early Beach, Turner from Armidale, Samantha from Sydney, Brendo from Leighton, Tim from Canberra, James from Brisbane, Bradley from Canberra, Sean from Melbourne, Kurt from Brisbane, Jason from Adelaide, Christian from Canberra, Cole from Port Kembla, Jordan from Bendigo, Steve from the Gold Coast, Blooming Theatricals from Melbourne, Christopher from Pace in Florida, Ben from Cincinnati in Ohio. Come on, Andy, you can do it. Veronica from Adelaide, Scott from Melbourne, Tristan from Melbourne. Bloody hell, I'm falling apart here. Tristan from Melbourne, Gareth from Perth, Chris from Adelaide, Fierce Deity from Hobart, and Glenn from Canberra. Thank you very much, folks. Legends. These people are massive supporters of Patreon. Come and join me over at patreon.com/Andy Dowling. Hey, that's another episode of the Andy Social Podcast, and in fact, this is episode 276 of the little old potty. 5.5 years in, 276 episodes deep. We are getting into the guts of 2021 with no signs of slowing down. My guest on this episode is Sam Sheumack. Sam is the guitarist in Sydney band FANGZ. They've been around for a little while now. They've got a brand new single out called Self-Medicate. It's on the streaming bloody services, the streaming platforms, whatever you call it these days, kids. I sound like an old man. I'm going to have links to the single, to the band, everything that we discussed in the show notes. Sam came around to my joint here at the Piermont Pad, or the Piermont Palace. In fact, we had the Piermont Prince joining us as well, little Larry Burb, and you might be able to hear him in the background carrying on right now as I speak. But he joined us, and this is the second episode where Larry actively participated in the episode. Last episode was with Alex Wilson from Sleep Makes Waves. So brace yourselves for a little bit of Larry here and there, but this is a great chat with a great guy from a great band. So enough crapping on from me. Please enjoy this great chat with Sam Sheumack. Mate, thanks for coming past the Piermont Pad and meeting the Prince of Piermont here, Larry Burb.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, mate.
No worries. Well, this is going to be a round two with Larry involved. So we had Alex here a few weeks ago, and anyone listening to that episode would have heard Larry sort of interrupting and doing his thing. So hopefully he's not too much of a distraction this time.
At least he's got my dreads to hide in if he needs.
Yeah, that's it. Well, he's got this weird thing, like you've got a bigger beard than I do, and he's got a thing about beards. And Jess hates it because she just wants this bird to love her, and he ignores her and pecks at her, and then for me, I'll walk into the room, he flies over to me, and he runs up and he starts rubbing his beak in my beard and sort of hanging out and sitting right next to me. So there's something about that. But someone's doing some construction next door. Yeah. That's great.
Classic Piermont.
Yeah, that's it. There's always something going on. And to be honest, like, you know how you're saying before on the phone, you're going about parking here because you got an amp and shit in the back of the car. I think it's Larry. I was thinking, there's a few characters in the area. And like 5 minutes beforehand, I was watching a guy across the road over here, and he had like a tin of something, and he clearly didn't have a tin opener, like a can opener. So he was like rubbing it, grating it against the bricks of the wall of the building, just trying to break the seal. And I was so tempted to yell out, "Oi, mate, do you need a can opener? I'll peg it across the road for you."
Oh God. Yeah. I guess just get a tradie with a battery-powered circular saw or something, right?
That's it. We'll find a way.
Exactly.
So busy in your camp. There's lots going on.
Yeah. We're just like COVID. We tried just to keep as busy as possible the whole thing, because otherwise, we're all that age, early 30s kind of thing. If we sort of let it momentum slip at all, we just won't do it anymore. So it's been like, fuck it, let's just go harder the whole time. And, you know, it's sort of paying off, I think. Or I like
so.
to think it is. So, yeah.
It's one of those bands that I mean, how long's the band been around for? Like, it's not long.
No, what? So our last band broke up in Europe in 2017. We had our first new track out in under 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah, for the new band FANGZ.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I have noticed about FANGZ is that I don't know what the strategy was, but I have seen that logo plastered all over Sydney and the city and the inner suburbs, just in random places, whether it be like a show poster or a release poster or just the stickers or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And so I don't know whether there was a strategy there for you guys just to go hard with just planting this shit everywhere.
Well, so we started that as soon as like we had a date. We were going to start releasing shit, I guess. And it was just, literally postering the name around. So the background behind that too is Jamil and I run a street postering company.
Yeah,
so,
it kind of helps.
It helps a lot. Then people just started seeing the name, and then, you know, we started putting stuff online, and people were like, and, you know, why not keep it going kind of thing. And, you know, we've got the Great Wall of Pyrmont over there.
Yeah, I know, Every time I'm driving up there, I'm sort of going, there we go.
We're going to do a reprint of all the posters that aren't still hanging on there and try and do the whole thing just with FANGZ posters.
Not to make the podcast about street posters, but I mean, we used to use them a lot back in the day. I can't remember the company, but one of the main ones in Sydney years and years ago, like 10 odd years ago. And then there was an argument for quite a while that they were sort of useless. Like, but I love them, and I think as far as like building some sort of subliminal, if I can say it properly, sort of branding out there, so eventually it does like the light bulb, turns on when you eventually see the band advertised somewhere. Yeah, it must still be effective. I mean, do you guys still do good business with it?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, we're like through COVID, obviously shit dropped off a lot. But at the moment, we're pretty damn busy. Like, it's been crazy, really. Like, because, like, so our company's based in Melbourne, and we just run all the distro for Sydney. So, like, Sydney, since July, has been as busy as ever, really. Right. Yeah. Wow. So, and it definitely works still. Like, poll posters, I'm always skeptical of because, you know, invariably the council's just walking around behind you, cutting them down. Yeah. But when you're gluing them onto walls, people can't get them off that easily. So you're only really against the other companies a lot of the time. Yeah, and, you know, it's all a bit of friendly rivalry.
I was going to say, is there some turf wars that happen?
Yeah, there definitely is. Chasing, like, you know, like cat and mouse. Like, you're chasing your competitor's van, and then there's a van chasing you. Well. Yeah. And then, you know, you've got the guys from UMS, like, cleaning them off the wall.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be... It'd be fascinating to sort of be, because you'd have to be doing this sort of late at night as well.
We do it, like we do all hours, So we have vans running 22 hours a day.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So just there, you know, that
wall is just underneath the thing.
Hit that in the middle of the day all the time. And
right.
No one cares. So.
It's amazing because I very rarely see anybody actually putting the posters up. I just see them up there. And it's like, it's sort of like, you know, Santa. It's like, they come during the night, you know, just mysteriously put these posters up. But I'm always, every time I see a poster, I'm fascinated by sort of, it's like that propaganda sort of thing. Like, what sort of hype can you build? You know, and it's not just the things I love about them the most is not like the very obvious, like, hey, here's a tour or here's an album that's coming out soon. It's like the weird sort of stuff that's sort of sending a weird message. And it's not very clear, but it's just planting seeds over time, and eventually it leads to like an announcement. And I think that stuff's like awesome.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So that must, so obviously a nice asset to have, like being sort of an offshoot of a couple of you guys being in the band.
Yeah, it definitely helps. Like being able to have access to cheap posters and be able to do it any time of the day, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you got an EP coming out next week?
It's just a first single off the EP. So, you know, with things at the moment, we wrote an EP like September we took most of last year just writing kind of thing, and then September recorded a new EP. So we're just going to waterfall it out from there, do 4 singles, and then release the EP with the with the fourth single with an extra song.
Was that because of what happened last year that you guys took that approach, or was it more of it like you already had that sort of approach in the back of your mind?
I think these days, like for us at least, we're still a young band, and we don't have any fucking money, like no one does. But like we couldn't afford to write an album, so with streaming at an all-time high kind of thing, it seems to make more sense if you can just give a bit of love to every song for 2 months or something like that. You do a few shows if you can. And just drip feed it out over time. And then, last year it worked well with us. We dropped, 4 singles last year.
It's quite a few.
Yeah. And, they all did great on Spotify and stuff like that. So, we'll just continue doing that for the time being.
Have you found that sort of, because I've always sort of fantasized about, in the future of the band sort of to do like the drip feed sort of single sort of approach. And I think because we've still got a lot of that old school stuff associated with us that we still, like, I was saying before, I've got like boxes of CDs that just rocked up like a dying format, and here we are, like still trying to flog off CDs. But I think there's a hesitation where you sort of go, oh, like, is this the right thing to be doing, or is it a bit of a fad? But have you guys found that obviously Spotify is giving some good traction for the songs, but have you seen it translate elsewhere?
Like, to be honest, like the only physical releases we've done is with the first EP, just because it makes no sense putting a 5-track EP on a 12-inch record. You know what I mean? So, like with our merch, like it's worked really well because we've just brought out a new shirt with every single, and we've sold most of them, kind of thing. We've done reruns already, so. Larry on the shoulder cam.
I've got a tea towel on draped over my shoulder because he's got a reputation of shitting on me, but he's also obsessed with the tea towel. So he's I don't know. He's doing
a win-win.
He's doing a bit of renovating at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's a smart idea, having like the merch attached to the single as well, so it's like branding the single even more.
Totally.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. And so far so good with it, I guess. Yeah.
And I mean, going back prior to this band, one thing I noticed, and to be honest, I only started listening to you guys like in the last couple of months. To be honest, seeing the name everywhere, but eventually went, oh fuck, I better go and listen to it. So it eventually worked. You won me over. But the thing I noticed straight away when I was listening to the music, I mean, really fucking good. And
thanks,
and I mean, I'm gonna butcher my description of the band, but it's obviously punk. There's an element of pop punk.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah.
And TY, who edits this podcast and used to be our drummer back in the day, him and I had this huge fascination with bands like Fall Out Boy and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, not that I'd say you guys sound like Fall Out Boy, but you got like the tinge of those really smart hooks in the music.
Yeah.
But it's so different to what you guys, I don't know all of you guys in the band, but I think collectively for you guys, I've seen you all in different bands over the years, and it's really different.
Yeah.
Like the sound is completely different. It's not like this like natural evolution of sort of just slowly tweaking the sound. I mean, this band is really different to what you guys have done previously.
Yeah. Well, I guess like probably it's best to start with where the band came from, I guess. Yeah. So we were in Europe with the Lockharts, and we played a really good tour and stuff, and egos collided, and we kind of realized that all of us weren't in it quite as much as one person or whatever, however.
Was there a meltdown somewhere in Europe?
Yeah, there was a massive meltdown, basically. Yeah. And so we realized that band wasn't going to continue. So, and Jamil and I, the bass player, had chosen to stay on an extra couple of weeks so we could go see Graveyard at Download Festival.
Yeah, nice. Cool.
That was literally the only reason, kind of thing. And then Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes were playing.
Yeah.
We're standing there in the mosh pit, and there's like 100,000 people jumping around. It was fucking amazing, kind of thing. And then this song came on, FANGZ, and we're like, this is what we want to do. And so that's where the name came from. That's where the sound first came from in its elementary stages, and went from there. So like we're all like emo pop punk fans at heart, kind of thing. Like it's definitely all in our roots. Like everyone listened to Offspring, everyone listened to Fall Out Boy when we were growing up, and I guess this is just when we can do it and have fun. And then we just met Josh on the road, and here we are.
That's cool. I think I don't know, I just noticed maybe it's just more me being in those metal circles for so many years, where you may see like a muso that goes from like, I don't know, maybe like a black metal band to a death metal band or something like that, or thrash to death or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's no like dramatic sort of, even within that metal genre, there's no dramatic changes as far as people's, career in music.
Yeah.
So to see anybody sort of take that plunge into a different genre is it still fascinates me.
Yeah.
And I've always known you guys just sort of part of that Inner West crew playing in different bands. I mean, I think, what was one of the bands back in the day? I'm pretty sure we might have even played a gig at like Notes when Notes was still around, or maybe not. Maybe I'm getting
Contraband or something like that with Jamil. Yeah.
And so I've always had that sort of vision of what you guys were as far as that sort of crowd as well. And that's me stereotyping like the typical thing you think of that type of music.
Yeah.
So when I played this music, I was like, oh man, this is like fucking blew me away. I was like, this is so different. But I mean, obviously it makes sense as far as, linking it up to where you guys are now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
What, I mean, I know that you guys did some shows. You have been doing some shows over the past couple of months. And you've got a show next week as well.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, tomorrow?
Yeah, Crowbar.
I'm out of whack with my dates.
Yeah, no, all good.
You've been doing those sit-down shows.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, what's the vibe?
The very first one we did the relaunch of FANGZ having live music. That was 1st of August last year. And that was weird because, like, it was kind of when everything was sort of getting relaxed. No one knew how to conduct themselves in a venue seated kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's people like fucking chair moshing to us and stuff like that, which, was fucking hilarious. But yeah, like not wanting to incriminate any venues or anything like that. But yeah, it was pretty loose at that one. And then the second one we did a big one at the Factory Theatre.
Yeah, that's right.
Launching our hot sauce. And that was strange playing such a massive stage, but you could almost cheat it in your own mind thinking it was a theatre show. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, like it's strange, but it's a lot better than not playing shows.
Yeah. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Was the factory set up like they would normally do with like just rows of seats?
Yes.
And I think Crowbar have got their tables that are sort of set up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've been so conflicted over the past several months when gigs have started to come back, and I'm thinking, oh man, I don't know if I could do it. Like be on stage and you're just relying on the crowd to sort of energize you.
Yeah.
You can bring it, but it's only so much you can sustain through that time.
Totally. Yeah.
So I've been fascinated, and I've been to a couple of shows, I should say, where I've been sitting down, and just obviously it's a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like it's good to be out and all that, but there's aspects of it where I'm sort of going, oh man, like I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So,
totally. Yeah.
So I think with the show tomorrow. They actually increased the numbers, or
numbers? So then we've got 150 cap.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, for that room, which it's halfway there.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed to be standing by the next shows.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
What's the plans going into this year? Obviously, you've got the single for the EP.
Yep.
And you're going to drip feed the songs for
the
EP. And then what happens when you've like ticked all the boxes for the EP and they're all out individually?
Yeah, well, so I guess like we've got a roadmap out for this year, basically dropping the 4 singles like 2-3 months apart kind of thing. And, pending restrictions, we'll be touring a bit more each single kind of thing. And I guess in the meantime, write more. Like we wrote something stupid like 30 new songs last year in that COVID period. So... we've got plenty to go back on and work on already, so there's a good bank of stuff to work towards, I guess.
Oh, that's so good. I love the idea of just banking stuff. It just takes the pressure off, and you can just go, oh well, we can cherry pick these songs first, and then we can have these as the next run. That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you guys? I mean, obviously, we had in Sydney, we kind of had a couple of lockdowns, nowhere near as dramatic as other parts of the country, but. What do you guys do when it comes to writing? Is it a case of just doing like a lot of bands where you're just sort of uploading riffs and shit into Dropbox and sort of just paste shit together and try and work out songs, or do you get together? Or
so with us, it's always Jamil and I'll meet up together in our work office. We've got just a really elementary like home studio setup kind of thing. And yeah, we'll just throw ideas at each other, write a whole song, give that to the drummer, give that to the singer and drummer, get Josh to sing some vocals over it, and then go from there, nut it out from there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love the idea of having like just a massive bank
totally
of songs there ready to go.
Yeah.
I saw a video the other day that you guys posted where you've sort of introduced a manager to the ranks, and you've basically a bit of a hazing initiation to get him on board.
Yeah.
Management's always fascinated me because I think it's probably a case that we've just never done. Well, we had it years and years ago, and it just didn't last long. Was that something that you guys always wanted to do, to get to a point where you could get management, or was this just the opportunity just popped up unexpectedly?
So I guess like all of our previous bands, we haven't really had a proper manager kind of thing per se. And then FANGZ, we had a booking agent like after our second show, and then
that's cool.
Then we had people offering to manage us and stuff, and we're like, what the fuck? And then we're kind of like looking at people and we're like, well, what can they do that we can't already do, because we already do everything? Like what? And then finally, like Rob Carroll, Good Intent, sort of came to the party, and like we went on a trial, and he was great. He's been awesome. So
what do you think? I mean, apart from just saying, oh well, of course our band's good, but what do you think the reason is that you guys got that attention straight away from like booking agents and people wanting to offer their services? Because I don't know. I mean, it doesn't happen to us, but we're a very different type of music as well.
Yeah. I think like the very first shows we did was we did a 4-week residency at Hideaway.
Yeah, okay.
And every week we had a line out the door, like 120 people minimum in that room, which is 80 capacity kind of thing. And we filmed it all, like got all the content done properly sort of thing. And so the band just already had this hype about it right from the get-go, I guess. And that, it's not just infectious within people watching it. I guess people in the music industry are in tune with some stuff, maybe.
It's probably, I mean, the old residency sort of approach is not something that gets, well, I mean, especially it doesn't happen now.
Yeah.
But, it's not something that bands often do anyway. So I think that alone makes it unique, and probably the way that you guys executed as well.
Yeah.
I think one thing I notice with a lot of bands is they'll whinge about not having opportunities, but they're not creating them themselves.
Yeah.
And so I think they probably just looked at you guys and like, well, you guys are doing half the battle here. You're creating your own hype, so let's just keep that rolling.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest thing. Everyone's a hero behind the keyboard, and they'll sit there and say the Sydney music scene's fucked, but they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and it's different now. Like, I mean, I think just before COVID, you could start to see glimmers of Sydney like opening back up, and there's all the initiatives that are sort of helping it become feasible to have live music again.
Yeah, and like new venues popping up, which obviously that's still on the back burner, but yeah, there's like 3 new venues in Newtown which haven't really had the chance to blossom yet, which will be great.
Yeah,
hopefully soon. Yeah,
well, fingers crossed. And it's just I see we're on the cusp of like a massive resurgence of just live music in general. I think people will just be wanting to go out and see shows. But it's been interesting over the years just to watch how Sydney musicians have probably, well, I was going to say reacted to it, but probably in some ways not reacted to the changes. And I think, all the hype around government politics and all that sort of stuff, they've used that probably as a reason to just take the foot off the pedal and just not do anything about it. And so it's just, it's been frustrating to see it all sort of die down.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens now. I think it just, I mean, I think I saw you post a little while ago where I think you're talking about the Hopeton.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's people working in there.
Yeah, exactly.
A glimmer of hope.
Yeah, but no, apparently it's just going to be a restaurant.
Oh, damn it.
Just what Surrey Hills needs, another restaurant serving overpriced shit food.
It's certainly not enough. Oh, well, speaking of restaurants in Surrey Hills, Jess and I went to that, what's the name of that place? The Mexican joint that used to be the Excelsior.
Oh, fucking El Loco. Yeah. How was it?
It was okay. It was like, whatever. But you sort of walk in there and...
you remember where you vomited once.
Oh, I mean, such a dirty venue back in the day. But, I mean, you walk in, like, it's like a time warp. Apart from all, like, the piñatas and the Mexican hats and all the sombreros and everything like that.
Yeah.
You sort of look through and you can see the band room up the back. And then those dodgy toilets right there near the public bar.
Yeah.
And it's like... oh God, like what's happened? Like what's happened in those 10 plus years that just escaped us, and here I am in this weird Mexican joint. It's so odd, but there's a lot of old relics around Sydney, like even sort of walking. There you go, Larry just shat on me. Hell yeah! Walking up Devonshire and walking past the old Gaelic, and just sort of looking through the window there, and it's just it's just a stale-looking pub. It's so
what an improvement!
There's just nothing. And then I look up to where the stage was, and there's some couches and shit up there. Like, how passive can you get as a venue and
and it's empty.
There's never anyone in there. There's a couple of dodgy guys that sort of sit in the smokers area up the front. And that's about it. And I just think, man, like so many wasted opportunities there. I mean, that place was pumping for so many years. And I think that's probably one thing that's still missing in Sydney, where, like, you got Frankie's, but you have to sort of, I think if you're commuting into the city, you probably get off at, I guess, Wynyard or something like that and cross over, which is fine, but it's just psychological things. And I think when you had Bar Broadway, you had the Metro was like Town Hall. And then you also had the Gaelic and
Agincourt even.
Yeah, like, Agincourt as well.
Club Link and all that.
And but it was central. Central, get off, or the bus depot thing was there as well. And I think that's why those venues they were so good for so long, you know. And,
get kicked out of one, walk straight into another.
Just walk the strip. But I think that's still missing at the moment, where you know, the inner west is good, where you've still got venues, and Newtown's familiar to a lot of people, so that helps and more as well. But to have something central in the city, somewhere that's closer up the other end near Central, I think will be a game changer if someone can find a nook and cranny to go and put a stage in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's optimistic, because there'll be somebody out there that'll eventually, you know, put two and two together and go, oh, this is a good idea. But
totally.
So obviously you mentioned before that touring might be on the cards at some point in time. Is it a case that you guys are sort of thinking, well, it doesn't look like the world's going to open up anytime soon, but is it going to be a case of just go hard locally?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we've got in April, May, we're just doing New South Wales and a couple of shows in Queensland. Just because we didn't know sort of what had happened. We cancelled so many fucking shows last year because of it. But yeah, like definitely I think the second single will actually try and do a bit more of a proper Australian tour, and COVID pending, obviously.
What's so have you still got a booking agent that you guys use?
Yeah.
So how does, this is going to be me asking a potential stupid question, but how does it work with the dynamic? And I think it'll change with every relationship, but with your booking agent, would it be a case that you guys would say to these guys or this person or whoever, we want to do a run of shows, we'll do a bunch of shows within this time, this is our availability, and they go out and they'll...
That's exactly it. Yeah, they'll just start pitching out, and like we'd ideally like to be here, and try and make this weekend work, and
I mean, I should know that, but we've been so DIY for so many years, where it'll be literally me sort of contacting like the venues or the local promoters and going, hey guys, like we'll be like, can we do this date? Like it's not even like we need this date because we've got to go to this city afterwards or this town or whatever. And
it's such a nightmare. And doing that yourself now, like it's heaps easier just to pay someone a percentage to do that.
Definitely. Do you find that with you guys, that's something that you've lent into over the last few years, where it makes sense to get more people surrounding the band to help the band rather than sort of being DIY?
Like we're still very DIY with most of the stuff we do. It's literally just the booking and some of those management duties now. Like we're very hands-on, I guess, with everything, and we'll cut whatever costs we can. Like we still fucking drive the whole time when we're touring. Like,
I think for us, we've been such control freaks over the years, where I think also that we play a style of music that's probably not on people's radars all the time as well. So we're playing stuff that's a little bit more dated, and it's very niched. In certain circles. So I think, when it comes to companies that are looking for opportunities to work with bands, the style of music that we're playing is not going to be high on the list, because they're thinking about, well, what are we going to get in return?
Totally. So, and that's the thing, like flying to Adelaide like to make that worthwhile for you, you need every cent
Yeah.
kind of thing. And banking on a venue and all that. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Yeah.
It is big time. And so for us, I mean, I guess the benefit that we have is that we know what our typical fan looks like, physically and mentally. And so we sort of niche down pretty hard on how we promote to those people. And so we sort of know that, and it's very hard to sort of get people on board that will probably be able to do the same job that we can. So for us, I mean, as we were saying earlier, like, CDs and shit like that is still popular within our niches. So we'll keep doing that until it becomes a non-entity anymore. Like, we won't be able to do it anymore. But so for us, like playing shows, like the Adelaide example, we would go there, and for us, like, obviously we'll try and negotiate what we can for the show, but where we want to make sure costs are covered and hopefully bring home something is to load up that merch and really sort of smash it, because that's what our crowd wants. They want to take stuff home. So
exactly.
They're usually too pissed to remember the shows.
Or even to take them home with them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, can I leave my shirt behind the merch table with you? It's like, man,
how good's that question? Oh yeah, which one's yours at the end of the night? Fucking hell.
Or it's like, no, you collected it like 2 hours ago. No, I fucking didn't. It's there. It's like, what do we do?
Man.
Do we sacrifice a shirt just to get rid of this?
Exactly.
Or have you got a shopping bag I can put me CDs and your t-shirt and stuff? And oh god, and then you walk away, and then you forget to tell the other person that stuff's there. And that person tracks you down on the other side of the room and goes, oi, the guy
and
the
you're
girl
about to
behind
go on stage.
Yeah, they said that they don't have my stuff or they don't know about it, but I gave it to you. And it's like, and I've got like my guitar around my neck or something like that. It's like, oh mate, like can you hang 10 like 40 minutes please? Like I'll sort you out later.
God.
So you were saying to me before that you're the merch guy in the band.
Yeah.
Do you guys do anything differently when it comes to sort of merch, or any thoughts that you have? Because obviously there's the traditional stuff, and you guys are going hard on the just fucking put my hand in Larry's shit.
Yeah, great.
Lovely. And wipe it on your head now. Obviously there's t-shirts, and t-shirts are still the go-tos, but have you guys tried other things, or have you been thinking about other things to sort of flog in the merch area?
So like we did hoodies, obviously, which you do pre-sales with hoodies because the startup for that's fucked. But the big one we did last year, which I was really passionate about, was doing a hot sauce. I would have brought you a bottle, but we're actually all out. So.
Hey, well, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Cool.
So one of my friends, Doug from Papa Peachy, do you remember that Black Reno?
Of course. Yeah, I know them.
He started a hot sauce company and asked if we wanted to do a collab, and chili's one of my favorite things, so go figure.
Cool.
So and that went really well. We got 100 bottles made and sold 100, so
how good's that? I've noticed a few things like that where it's collabs with I've seen Trad and the guys like Crowbar doing their wine collabs with bands and stuff like that. So it's definitely thinking outside the box to see what you can do to blend like a non-traditional fucking music related sort of item with with a band setting. It's cool. Do you find that with sort of sending out merch and doing all the merch and the logistics around it, that it sort of scratches an itch as far as being able to sort of have that direct contact with customers?
Totally.
Customers here, I fucking got the customer service hat on.
No, like it's great. Obviously we're pretty like our socials are very like involved and stuff, so like it's really nice when like a fan takes a photo of their merch order, because I'll always throw in like a bunch of stickers or some dumb little no cost item kind of thing. It's always awesome when somebody's like, oh, thanks so much for the free shit, like you guys rock. Like it's kind of really nice. And
we I mean this is like my domain. I love this stuff, and I'm always putting stupid shit in whether it be like stickers or flyers and stuff like that. And I've had a thing for the past few years of putting basketball cards in there, and it totally like just throws people like, who haven't ordered from us before, and they're like, "What the fuck is this all about?" Or some people just go, "Oh, this is mad. This is like from the 90s." It's cool throwback, and just like little things like similar to what you said, like where just seeing people post it online.
Yeah,
It sort of motivates them without you having to say, hey, can you take a picture?
Yeah,
because
totally.
I sometimes do that as well, but that doesn't really work.
As
soon as you tell someone to do something, they're like, I'll do what I want.
Yeah, I've already bought the merch.
Yeah, what do you want from me?
Yeah. Yeah.
You should give them like a checklist in the order, like when they open up the bag,
Totally.
T-shirts, and here's a checklist of all the things you need to do.
Totally.
Instagram post, hashtag.
Yeah.
Go and follow all these things, subscribe to all this stuff.
Yeah.
Let 5 friends know and all that.
Yeah.
It's I still think merch is such a massive thing for bands, and even though you can't tour anymore, I think that online thing of trying to connect with people and trying to get those sales is still like it's more critical than ever.
1000%. Yeah.
Are you guys like trying to find ways to get the merch in front of people online? Like, I mean, obviously you got the social stuff, but is there other things you've been thinking about to try and
not really? Yeah, it's all just been pretty traditional approach with that, I guess. We'll do a sale sort of once every 6 to 8 weeks, I guess, on just one item we want to kind of move a bit more of. Or, fortunately, Australian Music T-shirt Day sort of comes around at a good time every year. Just coincidentally, we've just made a new shirt or something like that. So you put 10% off kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of worked well so far. So, yeah.
I tried that last year. I was desperately trying to get a T-shirt design done in time, and just every possible, point along the way to get art done and get it printed and all that, just everything went out of whack, and so we missed the whole thing. But those things are really good to sort of ride off the coattails of.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
And we used to like when we had Soundwave years ago, we used to sort of do competitions where you go and take a photo of like you wearing the T-shirt, like the band T-shirt at Soundwave, and then we would set, like, we'd just set aside a budget and go, look, we'll send people out stickers or patches and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you can go into the running to win something after that as well. So, and that used to work really well. And it was a good way to flog off old merch as well. Because we just do a sale and say you can buy a cheap T-shirt and just take a photo and we'll send you more free shit. So what do you want?
Win-win. We actually just did a similar thing. So with the pre-save function on Spotify and Apple Music, we ran a competition. Well, it's not really a competition. It's just you have to pre-save and send us a screenshot. And if you do that, we've got this big list of people, obviously, now that have done it. And 5 people will get free merch packs, which, they choose a shirt, we choose a shirt, and, everyone's happy, hopefully.
That's cool. And obviously it's a small amount of money that you guys are spending.
Exactly.
And what you're getting back is more of those saves.
Yeah, and those pre-saves, like, they're dynamite when it comes to getting on those editorial playlists on Spotify and stuff like that.
Is it? There you go. Because I know, I've seen a bunch of bands using them in the past couple of years, but I've never tried it ourselves. So it'd be interesting to see sort of how it all works, and if it does have a big impact with the editorial stuff.
Apparently, like, I'm not hugely clued into it, obviously, but it makes a huge influence on it. Like, if the curators can see that 200 people or whatever have got that ready to go for the day of release, like, you're going to do well on that day already. So.
Fuck, I should have done that.
Next time, mate. Next time.
There'll always be things to release in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of bands doing it, and obviously there's when everybody's jumping onto something, there's obviously a reason for it. So, and I think with the editorial stuff, it's always a nightmare to try and work out what the secrets are behind the scenes to get to ride whatever wave there is.
And like contacting curators directly and stuff like that. Like, fuck.
I know. And you can tell, like, and the other thing that's I've seen a lot of people fall into this trap is that you'll see like the Facebook groups, and there'll be a guy in there who goes, looking for some bands for my my Spotify list. I've got 50,000 followers. Hit me up. I'm looking for suggestions. And of course, everyone plasters their Spotify links in there. And he just goes through and DMs everyone and says, hey, I can chuck you in for like, £50 or whatever. And you're
exactly.
Like,
and it's a playlist full of fucking fake bots anyway. Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
And you just know that Spotify are just going to pick that up in the background and go, I'm just going to deliberately push you to the bottom of the pile now as a result.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's sort of like the fake likes back in the day, whether it be MySpace or Facebook or things like that. And so everyone's like, oh my God, that band must be doing so well. They've got like 100,000 likes on their page. And it's like, it's all
no one comments on any of their stuff. No likes.
And then you get people from like the the Philippines or whatever, just,
Yeah.
random comments or whatever. And
Exactly.
I don't think this is legit.
Yeah.
So do you think that you guys are gonna go down the path of doing physical stuff, music wise?
Yeah. Well, so definitely, like this EP, we're either looking at doing 5 separate splits, like split 7 inches with a band from a different state.
Yeah, cool.
And each time going to that state, and doing like a little tour with that band. So that's the original idea we had.
Yep.
And then we might do a extremely limited pressing of like the second EP and the third EP on one 12-inch as well.
That'd be cool. A bit of repurposing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like we're happy with the 2 EPs, so may as well have copies for ourselves, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's just not quite the same if you got some songs saved to your hard drive or your phone or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think and vinyl for us has been the elusive format that we've just never gotten around to do ourselves. So I think in the future, as the CD sales gradually over time dwindle off, I'm sure we'll be late to the party. By the time we get to vinyl, everyone will be like, "Fucking vinyl, come on!" It's all about cloud-based music collections, man. It's like, okay, no worries.
It's strange though, isn't it? Like when you're touring internationally and stuff. Like we went to Europe 2017, and like we sold out of vinyl by like the 3rd show, kind of thing. And then didn't sell a fucking CD to save our lives, kind of thing. But then, like, I went to Japan with SEIMS. And Sim brought a heap of vinyl and a heap of CDs. He'd sold out of the CDs by, like, the second show kind of thing. And maybe sold like 3 or 4 vinyls. Like
it's weird. It's so weird.
I kind of get it in Japan though. Everything's so small. Like, where are you gonna have space for a fucking record player?
And a ever growing record collection as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's funny because I think speaking to a few mates that are Japanese, and they've sort of acknowledged that it's eventually it's turning in the direction where people aren't buying CDs anymore over there as well. So some of their stuff's closing down. But they're one of sort of the last dying sort of areas where they're still clinging onto the formats going, we love it. And you can still sell a little bit over there. But it's funny how culturally and also, the demographic as well, like the age of people and what they identify with and what they love. Yeah. Yeah. It's, and like even we played in the States years ago and we had a bunch of vinyl. We did like a old school, like sort of 80s style 12-inch remix thing. So there's like a limited run of vinyl. And so we had them for sale and we also had CDs. And I think we sold 1 record the entire time over 4 days that were there for this festival. But we sold out of all of our CDs, the majority of our T-shirts, everything else. And just had to try and cart these fucking records home. Like, missions, so
fucking nightmare.
You can't win. So I guess it's a case of just trying to understand what you can take and who the potential audience is and what they're going to like. So.
Totally.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how you guys go with some of that stuff. I love the idea of splits.
Exactly.
It's either extreme metal that does it, or it's going to be like a punk sort of thing.
Exactly. Any of those like tight knit community kind of things, I guess.
Like cult sort of underground. Sort of
thing. Totally.
And I think it obviously makes sense if you're sort of collabing with another band where you can sort of tour in their area and vice versa. You sort of leverage off each other.
Yeah. Cool. We're all about that. Yeah.
So you mentioned SEIMS, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I always look at the name and go, is it
SEIMS? Swims. Yeah.
You're still in the band?
Yeah, well, so it's a very quiet band, and just every now and again we'll do 3 or 4 shows, kind of thing, or go to Japan. Or, apparently we're still going to Arctangent Festival in August this year, but very skeptical about that.
I hope you guys haven't booked the tickets.
No, none of that.
Hold out for as long as you can.
Yeah, but apparently the promoter's still trying to go ahead with it. So
was that a reschedule?
Yeah, we were supposed to go last year.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And were you guys in a similar position where you hadn't quite fully committed?
we hadn't forked out any money yet. So
I think I can't remember who I was talking to. Maybe a couple of people, because it's come up a few times where it's all these cancellations or reschedulings of larger tours and festivals and things like that. And I just think I've got a feeling that there's probably a lot more legalities behind the scene, which stops them from just saying, "Hey, we're just going to pull the pin."
Totally.
Because there's probably all these contracts that are going to get voided if and they'll probably be liable to pay whoever money if they exit it first.
Yeah.
So they're probably just waiting until the final hour when eventually the government's going to say, "No, you can't do it," and they'll go, "Oh, well, we can't do it." So it's out of our hands now.
Exactly.
So, which is a pain if you're anybody else.
Totally.
Punter or band member, and you're trying to navigate that. So it's I think it's a hard thing as well, where there is a lot of bands who want to plan, because I'm sure you've seen this in the past, like. If you want to, it's probably not the same at the moment locally, but if you want to book shows, you got to book shows like at least six months out. If you want to lock in tours and things like that.
Probably, to get a proper run of dates.
And it was probably even getting to a point before COVID that it was getting worse than that. I mean, depending on what you wanted to do, I mean, you're getting closer to the 12-month. 12-month period.
For some of it, definitely.
And so now it's like I'm seeing bands just sort of going, well, we've got to throw a hat in the ring, because if it's a bit extreme, but of an example, but if tomorrow they turn around and say it's all good now, then
no shows.
It's like, well, fuck, I've got to quickly scramble. So everyone's sort of like hedging their bets by throwing a bunch of dates out into the future, just to try and secure stuff. Hoping that it'll go ahead.
1,000%.
Man, I can't imagine the stress.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a shit time to be a booking agent.
Alrighty, friends, go and check out FANGZ's latest single, Self-Medicate, on the streaming services on Apple Music and Spotify and blah, 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 YouTube, no doubt. I'll have links to everything in the show notes over at andysocial.net and andydowling.net. I'll have the social media pages. Just search for FANGZ Music on the socials. They're everywhere. And make sure you reach out to Sam and say g'day, say how you doing, liked you on the podcast, would love to hear more from you. And I'm sure he'd be stoked to hear from you, as with all the guests who've been on the podcast for the past 5.5 years. Amazing stuff. And I know that a few of you have been digging deep into the archives, into the back catalogue of Andy Social, and even reaching out to some of these guests as well, which is just super cool. I mean, that's what I want. I want the gift to keep on giving when people come on the shows. So make sure you go back and brighten someone's day, because it could be somebody on episode 24 or 76 or 52 or 135 or whatever it might be. I don't know who are on those episodes, but go and reach out to those people and let them know what you thought of those episodes. Before we wrap it up, of course, patreon.com/Andy Dowling. Just a massive thank you. I'm blown away by all the people that have been jumping on as of late. There's been a big influx of people, and I just really, really appreciate the support. My top tier supporters, my $10 and $20 tier supporters in particular, thank you. You guys are carrying the heavy load and keeping this whole thing moving, and the rest of you who are jumping on and supporting, whether it be on the $1 tier or the $5 tier, and getting access to the podcast or a bunch of free shit, it's all over there. And it's just it's a massive way of supporting this podcast. And I always say it every episode, but it is the reason now why Andy Social is still pumping in 2021, and why I'm doing 2 episodes a week as well. It's because of Patreon. So if you've listened to a few episodes of the podcast over the years, consider jumping over and at least just signing up for the $1 tier. I want as many $1 supporters as possible. That is my goal for this year. Just get plenty of $1 heroes over there supporting me over at Patreon. So that's patreon.com/Andy Dowling. Just a little update for my Patreon folks. I mean, I share it in my Patreon episodes, but anyone who's ordered a Beluga Boy t-shirt, the Beluga Boy Brigade. If anyone's ordered a Beluga Boy t-shirt, they are on their way to me, and they will be shipped out as soon as I get them. So stay tuned for that. And of course, I've got a few Team Chronoplan t-shirts over in the Andy Social Bandcamp page as well. So you can go and check all that stuff out. But plenty of dumb stuff, plenty of fun over at Patreon. So make sure you go and check it out. Next episode, I have no idea. Usually I'm prepared, but I'm not. It's very rare that I'm actually prepared and I know what the next episode is. But I'm literally pulling names out of the hat, as I've been saying, and stay tuned. I guess we'll all be surprised at the next episode. So until then, folks, take care. Keep sharing around. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye. 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 Larry.